give the Examining Kubrick channel a chance, if you can. No obligation. All right, let's dive into the main topic. This will have a good, positive part, but a more negative, critical part at the end. So let's get to the positive. Apparently, Danny, one of the protesters in LA, very clearly was victimized again by the police. So let us get right to it. Aaron was reviewing some of the videos where this alleged incident happened. And essentially, Danny with some other friends, and to be fair, they did outnumber this old Scientologist man, and they were just walking on the sidewalk, and old Scientologist man decided to rush them, and then the police showed up and arrested Danny, allegedly on a hate crime. But good on Aaron, he did vindicate Danny being totally innocent, and we're gonna just review the evidence.
To please let us walk through, and he decided to run Danny over right here.
Mm.
And Danny simply defended himself by pushing it away.
I have to show it again. It is so good. This is the only angle where you can clearly see that this guy took his scooter and jammed it right at.
It seems pretty rock solid. The old Scientologist man rushed. Danny did touch the scooter. I don't think that rises to the level of assault, frankly. But yes, he did touch the scooter. That is a fact, and that's what the video showed. So what is he getting arrested for? Well, increasingly in these protest situations in LA with Scientology, nothing. They're just arresting him. So if they have nothing, this is kind of silly and pointless. He will be released, but yeah, it's kind of a hassle tactic. I mean, I just don't understand what the LAPD, even in principle, is doing. They just look like a bunch of horrifically stupid monsters. I mean, they were monsters for decades, but now it's becoming very visible for everyone to see. That said, I am going to dissent a little bit on Aaron's response. One of the things he put up was Jessica. Again, no issue with Jessica. Not trying to get into a fight with Jessica. And one of the recommendations she does is to just call the media. And I'm thinking, like, okay, I guess in principle. Although, and I wanted to get to this video for a while where Aaron spotlighted the not very good reception by the LA media. And I agree with him. The coverage was very skewed. So why would we be contacting the media? What is that going to do? And she even listed the New York Times. Why would the New York Times care about this issue? I don't know. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, what's the strategy? Just contact these media outlets? And why these media outlets? I don't know. So that was just strange. I mean, what is the strategy? I don't know. And then Aaron tried to close the video out with, I think, to put it mildly, over promising greatly what is the situation in LA and more generally with the protesters and the Scientology side, which I think is not wise.
No, these protesters are not vandalizing anything. They're not causing any harm to property. They're not physically, they're not intimidating anyone. They're not hurting anyone. They're not assaulting.
I agree that overall the protesters have been more on the right side than the wrong side of the law. No issue there. And I do agree, generally speaking, the Scientology side has been the aggressor for the most part. On the other hand, stating as a fact, guys, these protesters are never intimidating people, is flatly false. And you know why it's flatly false? Because I saw a video of Aaron very clearly trying to intimidate three old German people. And in fact, he got into a shouting match with an old German woman. Now, I actually defended that action, and I don't want to take back too much of what I said in a prior video, but Alonzo, on Alonzo's blog, has offered, I think, some sobering thoughts here that might not be the wisest course of action. I think Alonzo's being a little too extreme, that we defend the Scientologists' right to their own free speech. I agree we should defend some of it, but not perhaps in a militant fashion either. On the other hand, it's simply not true to state that the protesters aren't intimidating anyone. No, they are intimidating people. That's the point of the protest, is to intimidate people. That's literally the point of a lot of these protests, is to intimidate people. And it's unclear where we draw the line where the intimidation goes too far. I just don't know. But stating flatly, guys, these protesters aren't intimidating anyone. That's just not true. You've intimidated people, clearly. Do I really think this small German woman was not intimidated by a massive American man yelling and screaming at her? Clearly she was intimidated. She was getting really angry and frustrated and walked away. So I'm not sure why Aaron just flatly lies to people outright about these things. And then he went furthermore and said, never in a single case have the protesters ever been aggressive. I don't know that. The first part of the video was fine, vindicated Danny, showed he was innocent, clarified how the police got out there. Apparently they were contacted, and Leah, The fiance of Danny knew this. She was in the chat. Okay, so it was an informative video, but why he's closing off with these frankly, misrepresentations of what is happening in LA is kind of weird to me. I don't know what he's up to. So, good video overall in terms of vindicating Danny's innocence, but I think we want to be very careful that we're misrepresenting the protesters as all these cuddly, nice little teddy bears who are not hurting anyone. I mean, that I can't say that. Some of these protesters have been unwise. For the most part, I think they have exercised good judgment, but in several cases, I do think you could say legitimately, no, they are intimidating people. Is that a good idea? It's a big question mark. We'll have to work through it. But stating for a fact they never intimidate people is ridiculous. They clearly do. They clearly do.